ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar, my dear friends. This is video number 4 on Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba's Divine Discourses for the sadhakas to get bliss and liberation. This video starts with discourse number 7, Ascent to the Divine. More effulgent than the sun, whiter and purer than snow, subtler than ether in space, the Paramatma dwells in all, permeating the entire cosmos, shining in every atom. You are in that Brahma is in you. You are that Brahma, and that Brahman is you. What greater truth can I convey to you? Man is not a mere combination of the physical, the mental, and the intellectual. He is enveloped in 5 seats: the Annamaya Kosha, gross body; the Pranamaya Kosha, the vital seat; the Manomaya Kosha, mental seat; Vijnanmaya Kosha, intelligence; and Anandmaya Kosha, the seat of bliss. The Upanishads have pointed out the importance, the sacred and divine characteristics of these koshas, seats. The physical form that is sustained by the food that we consume is the gross body. Thereafter we have the pranamaya, manomaya, and vijnanmaya koshas, subtle bodies, which together form the linga sarupa, the within body or the sense body. The third form is the Anandamaya Kosha, the subtler body which has the knowledge of the real self. There is an entity which keeps under control the 3 subtler bodies, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanmaya Koshas. This is the Antaratma, the indwelling spirit. This Antaratma is also known as the Chaitanya Purusha. The seat of the Chaitanya Purusha is Hridaya Guhyam, a cave in the heart. The heart referred to here is not the physical heart in the human body, but is the spiritual heart which is all pervasive, all knowing, and boundless. Levels of consciousness. The Atma, spirit, when it is associated with the physical body, is called Annamaya Purusha. This is the state of ordinary consciousness. When the spiritual consciousness is associated with Pranamaya Kosha, the vital consciousness, the Atma is known as Param Sarupa, life consciousness. When the Atma is associated with the mental consciousness, it is known as Manopurusha. The fourth consciousness transcends the human senses. It is called Athita Manustatvam, transcendental consciousness. The Vedas and Upanishads have described the state as Brihat and Rita, transcendental consciousness. It transcends human limitations and comes close to divinity. It is called supermind. The Atma in the state is called Vijnana Purusha. Above this state is the Anandamaya Purusha, the enjoyer of the bliss. It is state of super consciousness which expands in due course to merge with the universal consciousness. This all-pervading universal consciousness has been called Chit Tapas. It is the highest consciousness which encompasses all other levels of consciousness and is the basis for all of them. That is the Suddha Sattva, the all-effective will, the super divine life. This is the Sai Tattva, the Sai principle. The Shuddha Sattva, which constitute the Sai principle, is omnipotent. There is nothing that is beyond its power. It is the embodiment of all powers. It should be everyone's aim to strive to recognize this supreme principle, awareness of divinity. There are some clearly defined methods for achieving the same. Man's vision, which is now turned outward towards the phenomenal universe, should be turned inwards towards the indwelling spirit. One should manifest the divine consciousness inherent in him. He should submit himself to that consciousness as a spiritual discipline. This is called conscious realization of the inner divine. The first task is to develop awareness of the divinity within. The next stage is the realization of the truth, that is the divinity that is within one's self is equally present in all others. One must recognize that the veil or barrier that appears to separate him from others is born of delusion, and every effort should be made to remove it. Only then will it be possible to experience the oneness of all living things. Aham eva idam sarvam, says the Shruti. I am indeed all this. The realization dawns, all this is contained in me, and then there is the consciousness. I am divine, the divine is me. I am Brahma, Brahma is myself. There is no distinction between Brahma and me. 6 mental states. After attaining this stage, there is a third stage which has been characterized as the Arohana, Avrohana, the ascent and the descent state. Man has 6 different kinds of mind. They are number 1, the ordinary mind, number 2, the super mind, number 3, the higher mind, number 4, the illuminated mind, number 5, the intuitive mind, number 6, the overmind or beyond the mind. The starting base for the 6 levels of mind is the ordinary mind. At the summit level is the overmind. In the mental processes, what goes on is an ascent from the ordinary mind to the overmind, as well as a descent from the overmind to the lowest level. It is when the ascending process and the descending process meet that there is fullness in the human being. There is no difference between one kind of consciousness and the other. All consciousness is alike because it is a manifestation of Brahma, the Absolute. It is Brahma that has manifested itself as the cosmos. The doctrine of evolution is being discussed widely and widely accepted, but one should try to understand how evolution takes place in nature. Evolution in nature is really the gradual unfoldment of the inherent powers of nature. The evolutionary process. For instance, life has evolved from matter and mind has evolved from life. What is meant by matter? Matter is that which is encased in life. Consider the example of paddy. As long as the rice grain is covered by husk, it is called paddy. When the husk is removed, it becomes rice. Paddy has the power to germinate as long as the husk remains. Likewise, the vital principle is contained in matter. It may thus be seen that life came from matter. Likewise, the mind evolved from life. Today, men are prepared to recognize that mind evolved from life and life from matter, but they are not ready to go beyond this stage in human evolution. Human evolution cannot be complete unless it goes beyond the mind. The next step in the human evolution is the supermind, but man has to go forward even from supramental to the ultimate stage of Satchitananda, being awareness bliss to realize the final destiny. The day when man is able to experience the divine state of Satchitananda is really the holy day of Shivratri. When a person is attached to the body and considers the physical alone as real, he is bound to remain ignorant. The gross body is sustained by food and is limited by its material basis. But but then but there is a subtle body which transcends the physical. This is called Linga Deha. After understanding the nature of the subtle body, man should try to proceed further to know the nature of the Karna Deha, causal body, which is subtler than the Linga Deha, which is the experience of Ananda, divine bliss. Everything has its origin in bliss and is dependent on bliss. Bliss is present in a subtle form in every object in creation. Have the urge to change to a higher state. Of what avail is the study of the Upanishads and the Gita if there is no transformation in our thoughts or way of life? There must be the urge to change and progress towards a higher state of consciousness. It is only when we reach the supramental stages that we can grasp to some extent the relationship between the phenomenal universe and the divine. In reality, we are all embodiments of Satya Chit Ananda. Your real I exists in all the stages of waking, dream, and deep sleep. But in the dream and deep sleep states, you are not conscious of your body. The entity that exists in all three states undergoes no change. You must try to understand the nature of this I. You must examine where all your sadhanas are leading you. You have to proceed from the purely mental stage to the highest stage of the overmind and experience oneness with the universal consciousness. You may regard this as extremely difficult, but if you have dedication and perseverance, it will be quite easy. There is nothing in the world easier than the spiritual path. But when there is no earnestness, it appears difficult. That's why the Gita has declared Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. The earnest aspirant acquires the supreme wisdom. If you are deeply interested in anything, you will accomplish it. The cosmic consciousness. Hence, you should constantly remind yourself I am the embodiment of the divine consciousness. Sat Chit Ananda constitutes my form. Man today has forgotten his true nature and looks upon the world entirely through the senses, the mind, and the intellect. But behind all these organs, there is the Satchitananda, which is fundamental. It is because of this Atmic bliss principle in him that man is ever seeking bliss. The whole cosmos has emanated from the Parabrahman, the supreme omni will. It appears as a material object, but from the material we should proceed to the spiritual, the universal consciousness. There is the higher mind in man. It is present to enable man to transcend the physical and the mental and to reach the divine. Ordinary life consists of matter plus mind, but matter plus being is beyond the mind. It leads to the supermind. The mind attracts many objects that it sees. It promotes a variety of qualities, attitudes, and attachments. Above all, it encourages the inflation of the ahankara ego. Puffed up by his ego, man loses all his powers of discrimination and forgets what is evanescent and what is permanent. He makes himself an object of derision. It is only when the ego is deflated and eliminated that man can gradually realize his spiritual essence. Spirituality cannot be understood as long as the ego is dominant. And of what use are spiritual studies and discourses to one who has no understanding? Embodiments of divine love. You are engaged in various spiritual exercises. Some call it worldly, illusory, and ephemeral. It is described as Maya or Mithya. This is entirely wrong. I am Satyam, real. You are real. The whole universe is real. Consciousness is immanent in everything. Everything is a manifestation of Brahma. When we recognize this unity which underlies everything, we shall be able to know the nature of divinity. The world is real. To go about describing the world as unreal, illusory, impermanent will amount to practicing a deception on people and not proclaiming the truth. If the world is unreal, even the teaching that it is unreal is equally unreal and has no meaning. No, that is not so. This is cosmos. This cosmos is real. It is not a question of seeing truth within the unreal or the unreal in the truth. It is Satyamulani, Satyamau, the recognition of the truth in the real. It is only when this basic truth is recognized that we shall be competent to grasp the nature of our inherent reality. The cosmos is real. The forms in it may change, bodies may change. Change is the characteristic of the evolutionary process, but what should be recognized is that at the core of all things is a fundamental reality. This is the triple principle, Asthi, Bhati, Priyam, existing, shining, or manifesting, and pleasing, or loving, or Sat Chit Ananda, or Satyam Shivam Sundaram, truth, goodness, and beauty. When we recognize that the body, which is the basis of life, is subject to change, how can the phenomenal world be described as a delusion just because it is also subject to change? The universe has come from the Brahma, the universal consciousness. The multiplicity of forms are like the different kinds of figures made from sugar to attract children. The forms are different, but the basic consciousness is one. Just as a doll made from sugar is dissolved in the mouth, the external form of the body should dissolve in the experience of Atmic bliss. The source of life is Brahma. Change and evolution are natural to it, but the presence of the unchanging divinity should be experienced within the changing body. In the evolutionary process, the Brahmic principle existing in the matter evolved to life. The mind evolved by a leap from consciousness in life. The mind should not stop there. It should evolve towards consciousness of the divine and ultimately merge in the universal consciousness, the Sat Chit. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Every human being should strive to progress toward the ultimate state of overmind consciousness, the state which has been described by the seers as Vijnanamaya Kosa, the super intellectual mind. Vijnana, modern science is concerned with analyzing physical objects, but Vijnanamaya Kosa, the super intellectual mind, is concerned with the exploring the supreme reality, the omnipresent consciousness. This alone is true scientific inquiry. It is from Vijnanamaya Kosha that one proceeds to the Anandmaya Kosha, the state of super consciousness of total bliss. It may appear difficult to attain this state, but without making the necessary effort, it should not be treated as beyond one's capacity. Listen to my words, I shall show you the way. If you merely listen but do not practice what I say, you will not reach the goal. Train your minds towards the divine. It is a natural process but there is very little fragrance. When it grows and blossoms, it acquires fine fragrance. Likewise, when the human consciousness expands, it finds fullness in the state of Satchit Ananda. Starting with the ordinary mind, the consciousness rises to the supermind level. Then it moves up to the state of the higher mind. The next higher stage is that of illuminated mind. Through all these stages, the continuing entity remains the same as in the bodily changes from infancy to old age. That is the universal consciousness which is present in everyone, the one in the many. The universal consciousness is the Satyam, truth. It is Jnanam, the supreme wisdom. It is Anandam, Anantham, infinite. Turn your mind toward the divine. Repetition of the name of the Lord has been prescribed as a spiritual discipline to turn your mind away from the things of the world. If you devote the whole of this night to thoughts about the Lord, your minds will be transformed. Even if you are not able to reach the highest state of overmind, ever cheating, ever beating in mind the triple characteristics of the divine Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Strive to achieve the supreme goal of man. This discourse was made in Purna Chandra Auditorium on Mahashivratri, 16th February 1988. If in this worm you want to promote friendship, you can do so by using sweet words, by talking in a very sweet manner, and by speaking about sacred things. Sathya Sai Baba. Next discourse number 8, Karma and Divine Grace. The edifice of man's life is erected on four walls: Janma, Karma, Dharma, Brahma, birth, actions, duties, and supreme reality. These four walls are interdependent and inextricably connected with each other. What for does birth take place? To perform actions. How are actions to be done? Actions should be filled with dharma, righteousness. Through righteous actions, one should realize the Brahma. Man has forgotten this goal. Today, actions are related to physical needs, and dharma is concerned with getting on in the world. There is no awareness of the Supreme. Without four bare walls, even a cottage cannot be erected. The mansion of life has to be supported by the four essential walls of Janma, Karma, Dharma, and Brahma. Karma, action, is the cause of birth. It is the life sustaining force. The body is the instrument of this vital force. Karma sustains life in the body through the body. Every action done by man is described as karma. Man performs actions for the fruits thereof. He takes birth again to experience the results of his actions. That is why it is declared in the Gita, Karma Anubandhani Manusaloke. Man's life in the world is bound by his actions. It is not possible to get away from action, but it is essential to perform actions properly. Our condition in life is determined by our actions. Our habits are governed by our actions. Habits determine conduct, and conduct determines our future. Hence, it is supremely important how we act. Good and evil in life are determined by the nature of our actions. To claim that I am the doer, I am the experiencer, and I am the enjoyer is a sign of egoism. Good and evil result from actions, whether one is aware of their consequences or not. Krishna and Dharmraja. After the end of the Mahabharata war, Krishna approached Dharmraja and told him, Dharmraja, the battle is over. You have been victorious. You must now be crowned as king. Dharmraja did not accept Krishna's advice. He told Krishna, did I kill so many of my kinsmen and friends only to assume the crown? For whose sake should I become the ruler? I killed many of my kinsmen, and I was also responsible for the death of many others. Over whom should I rule? What joy can I derive from such rulership? I have no use for this paltry kingship. I do not wish to be crowned. Dharmraja pleaded in this way with Krishna and would not agree for his coronation. Krishna realized that it was no use himself arguing with Dharmraja. The ways of the Lord are mysterious in everything he does. He sets an example to the world. No action of the Lord is without a purpose, though its meaning may not be obvious. When the Lord comes in human form, proximity to the Lord may conceal the full import of his words or actions. Bhishma asked Dharmraja to follow Krishna. Krishna thought that Dharmraja would be more amenable to advice if it came from a venerable elder like Bhishma. So he took Dharmraja to the grandsire of the Pandavas, who was lying on a bed of arrows. Krishna knew that Dharmraja would heed Bhishma's sage counsel if Bhishma advised and encouraged Dharmraja to go through the coronation and accept the burden of kingship. Krishna felt that Dharmraja would not refuse, so after leaving Dharmraja with Bhishma, Krishna retired. Bhishma looked at Dharmraja with tears streaming from his eyes and said, Dharmraja, will you wholeheartedly respect my words? Dharmraja held the hands of his grandsire and reverently promised him that he had never gone against Bhishma's injunctions in the past and would never do so in the future. Bhishma then said, Dharmraja, before the war you relied on Krishna. You regarded him as your mentor. He whom you revered as your mentor before your ends had to be realized is worthy of the same regard even after your purposes have been realized. It is unworthy of you to ignore Krishna's advice now. You are looking upon him only as a kinsman. Krishna is God incarnate. No doubt he is your kinsman and friend, but you have no conception of his powers. Looking at the world externally, you are wasting your time. Look within and see the truth, advised Bhishma. Dharmaraja replied, Grandsire, I know full well with what you love, brought up when we were left fatherless. You fostered us with greater care than even a father could have bestowed. But we fought against you in the war and brought you down. We resorted to a deceitful stratagem to make our Guru Dronacharya lay down his arms. We killed numerous dear kinsmen and friends in the war. After all this, what joy can I derive from ascending the throne? Please spare me from the ignominy of coronation. Dharmaraja piteously pleaded with Bhishma in these words, the bonds of karma and time. Bhishma, smiling at Dharmaraja, said, the world is bound by karma. Dharmaraja, you are well versed in the scriptures. Nevertheless, you speak about killing so many people. Who are the killed and who are the killers? You do not have the power to kill or to make the others kill. Killing and getting killed are consequences of past karmas. Karma is responsible for everything that happens. Let me illustrate this by a story. Bhishma then related the following story. A woman who had an only son lost her husband. Taking her son with her, she was going through a forest to go to another village. On the way, she rested under a tree with her son sleeping on her lap. Suddenly, the boy woke up with a shriek and started crying. The mother woke up and noticed that a cobra had beaten her son and was wriggling back into an ant hill. Within a few moments, the boy died while the mother was wailing helplessly over the death of her son. A highway robber who was passing by that way heard her cries and inquired about the cause of her grief. Learning about the death of her son from a snake bite, the robber decided to dig up the ant hill and kill the cobra. At that stage, the woman took hold of the robber's hands and pleaded, Dear man, please do not kill the cobra. Will my son get back his life if you kill that cobra? I cannot escape my fate. The robber said, that poisonous snake can cause the death of others who may come here. I have a duty to destroy poisonous creatures. Then the mother replied, Son, it is by the dictates of Kala, time or fate, that this poisonous cobra bit my son. His death is the result of his own past karnam. Karma is responsible for everything. We are not aware of the consequences of our actions when we do them. We grieve over our calamities when they occur. Behind every good or bad event, there is a cause. Dharmaraja, people talk about Yama, the god of death. He comes in innumerable forms to take life at the appointed time. Yama is called time or destiny. Dharmaraja, karma is responsible for everything. How is it that you could not see that a simple woman realized so clearly? You are well versed in all the Shastras and know what is wrong. Knowing that gambling is among the five great sins, you succumbed to play the dice and as a result had to endure innumerable difficulties, including living in the forest as an exile with your family. We are not all your ordeals. Were not all your ordeals the consequences of your action? No one can escape from the consequence of one's deed. With God's grace, the result can be overcome. But if one disobeys the command of the Lord, no one can save him. By going against Krishna's command, you will not save yourself from the consequences of your actions, concluded Bhishma. Submit to the divine will. Finally, Bhishma exhorted Dharmaraja in these words: the divine will is the basis of all action. The divine can annul the consequences of these actions or provide the means of expiation for them. Hence, your duty is to carry out faithfully the divine command. If you act to the contrary, you will be ruining your life. Bow to Krishna's command and get yourself crowned. Dhramraja, however, continued to be wrecked by doubts as to how the law of karma operated. Was the boy's death from the cobra bite a decree of fate? Bhishma reassured Dharmraja, the Lord grants the fruit of every action according to each person's deserts, in any form, in any situation, through any agency. All results follow from the actions. The wicked Kauravas, although they knew the principles of morality and justice, subjected the noble Pandavas to such troubles and ordeals that ultimately their entire clan was destroyed. Because the divine was on their side, the Pandavas were victorious. Bhishma therefore advised the Pandavas not to ignore Krishna's advice in the hour of their success. It is not easy to explain in what form and in what manner karma follows a person. A cow which feels proud about its horns and its eyes finds itself controlled by a rope through its nostrils on account of its karma. Hence, one must bear with whatever troubles that may come, treating them as the consequences of past actions, but the effects can be mitigated or removed by earning the grace of the divine. As you sow, so shall you reap. Man today do not view things in this manner. Considering some person as the author of his misfortunes, they tend to abuse him without thinking about their own actions. They should realize the truth of the saying, as you sow, so shall you reap. Your present state is the result of your past actions. Therefore, by doing good acts in the present, you must ensure beneficial results in the future. Everyone should realize that for happiness or sorrow, profits or loss, his own actions are responsible. Of all actions, nothing is so reprehensible as the violation or ignoring of the divine injunctions. The Vedas have emphasized the important role of karma and urged that due regard should be had for its operation. Students should try to understand the inner meaning of all teachings. They should not concern themselves with the actions or words of individuals. They must concentrate on their respective duties. Intelligent persons may discuss matters of moment. The small minded may discuss personalities. Both types of discussions are likely to be exercises in futility. What should be realized is that nothing happens without a cause and that every result is the outcome of a particular action. Once the cause is understood, one should act on that understanding, avoiding actions which are bound to have undesirable consequences and performing actions which will yield beneficial results. Do not be concerned whether someone is watching your actions or not. God is certainly watching your actions, therefore, you must take care to act righteously at all times and in all situations. Today, people claim to be working for world peace. How can those who have not achieved peace within themselves hope to achieve world peace? Those who have not learned to look within themselves and cultivate a broad spiritual outlook are not competent to work for peace in the world. Education is for acquiring wisdom. Students, your actions are responsible for your good or ill. Your fame or disgrace, your joy or grief. Do not get excited over petty demands and desires. Fix your minds on permanent ideals. The discipline you observe should not be confined to your tenure in the college. When Bhishma questioned Yudhishthira whether his faith in Krishna endured only as long as the war lasted, Yudhishthira was beaten to the quick. He realized his mistake and felt repentant deep in his heart. Today's students, however, seem to be immune to such appeals. Do you need Sai Baba only for obtaining a seat in the institute? Don't you need the help of Sai after you have finished your studies? You will need Sai always. You must not forget how you completed your studies and what the Sathya Sai Institute has done for you. If you forget this, you are in for all sorts of troubles. You should not forget the pledge you have given to the Institute, whatever difficulties you may confront. Remember the examples of Emperor Harishchandra, who went through every kind of ordeal to honor his blighted world. Treat your word as a sacred expression of the divine. Do not speak ill of others. Do not give room for attachment and hatred in your hearts. Education is for acquiring wisdom, not for getting material wealth. Bear in mind the message of the sages. Do not treat lightly your human birth. Show respect for words of elders, parents, and teachers. The Yadava clan in which Sri Krishna was born was totally destroyed because of the disrespect shown to his sage. Bharat's history is full of the lives of great souls. Bear in mind their message, which will be of use to you sometime or other. Their teachings are wholesome medicine for the spirit. Mundane existence is subject to a variety of diseases. For all of them, remembrance of the name of the Lord is the panacea. When you install the name of the Lord in your hearts, revere your parents and respect the divine that is present in all beings, you will be able to lead ideal lives. Pursue your studies for achieving consummation. Cultivate good habits. Thanks to your good karmas in previous lives, you are having the good fortune of studying here. Take full advantage of this precious opportunity. Krishna operates concern in the body. Krishna operates cancer in the body politic. Dharmraja once asked Krishna, Krishna, why did you bring about the disaster war for the sake of this contemptible rulership over a kingdom? 40 lakhs of warriors died in this battle. Only the Pandavas have survived. Is there any justice in sacrificing the lives of 40 lakhs of men for the sake of the 5 Pandavas? Krishna replied, Dharmraja, you are looking at the numbers involved. I am looking at the principles at issue. Can any crores of insects equal a lion? Kurukshetra is comparable to the body. Kuru means work. The body is the instrument of action because it is the field in which action takes place is called Akshetra field. Supposing in the back of the body them is a gangrene. If it is allowed to grow, it will spread throughout the body. If the gangrene is on the arm or the leg, you can remove it by the amputation of the limb concerned. But when it is in the back, how do you deal with it? A major operation will be necessary. Likewise, the Evil qualities in the Kauravas were like cancer in the body politic. If they had been ignored, the entire nation would have got infected. Hence, action as a surgeon, I carded with the operation of the Mahabharata war with Arjuna as my assistant. In the process, 40 lakhs of microbes died. For the sake of saving these microbes, should we let the patients die? To save the individual, you have to eliminate the cancerous microbes. Likewise, persons with evil qualities are like cancer cells. I saved the nation by destroying these bacteria. There is no sin in this, declared Krishna. How the divine acts. If for doing a good deed you have to cause a little harm, even that should be regarded as a help. But in all such cases, there should be absolutely no element of self interest. Whatever help is rendered with a selfish motive behind it is no help at all, because the divine is totally free from self respect. Whatever he does is utterly blameless and is solely for the welfare of the world. It is foolish to question the propriety of God's actions. There is nothing beyond his powers. He is the creator, the protector, and the destroyer. When he protects, no one asks why he protects. But when he does not protect, questions are asked about his inaction. When the Lord punishes, the question is asked, why does God inflict punishment? Is it not wrong on his part to do so? Such questions are motivated by selfishness and self interest. God is totally free from any taint of self interest. To indulge in controversies over the divine action is supremely folly. Them is a valid mason behind every action of the divine. Therefore, your duty is to pray to God and secure His grace. Take, for instance, the case of Sakkubai. When Sakkubai wanted to join the pilgrims going to Pandharpur, Krishna could have openly arranged for her joining the party, but he did not do so. If she would have gone against her husband's will, she would have got a bad name. To maintain her good reputation and show her as an example to the world, Krishna assumed Sakkubai's form and subjected himself to all kinds of harassment of the mother-in-law, while the real Sakkubai was sent to Pandharpur. Why did Krishna do this? The Lord is ready to assume any form and subject himself to any hardship to uphold Dharma. On the one hand, public opinion has to be respected. On the other side, the devotee should not go astray. Only the divine knows how to reconcile these opposites. Men in general can look at things only from their personal point of view. They cannot have an integral view of things. Students should note that on one side they have to set an example to the world by their behavior. At the same time, they have to conform to the will of the divine. They have to follow both these courses. They have to please their parents who have done so much for them. They have to bring credit to the institute which has been their alma mater. Whether you are here or elsewhere, your conduct must be the same. It is unworthy of a human being to vary his behavior according to place and time. Sanctify every act, recognizing the supremacy of action. You must see that everything you do is pure and holy. Action is not limited to what you do with your hands, what you hear, what you see, what you speak, and even what you think. All of them constitute action. This means that the things you see, the words you hear, the thoughts you think, and the speech you make should all be pure. All that you take in through your five senses should be wholesome and pure and not merely your food alone. Only then can it be sattvic. Devotion is not confined to bhajans and exhibiting a yearning for Swami. Every one of your actions should be filled with devotion. Each one is the architect of his destiny, and as Bhishma pointed out to Dharmaraja, no one can avoid the consequences of his actions. What he can do is to pray to the Lord and show him how he can atone for his wrongdoings. It is essential to suffuse all our actions with dharma. That dharma should be dedicated to the divine. When this happens, life becomes sanctified. There may be no rebirth at all. Therefore, build your lives on the four pillars of Janma, Karma, Dharma, and Dharma. This is my benediction for all of you. Discourse to the students of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute at the Students' Hostel, 21 February 1988. Sacrifice is sweeter than enjoyment. Sacrifice should become the aim of life. Only through sacrifice can one attain peace. Sorrows do not flee from us as long as the mind is not at peace with itself. Agonies dwell forever within us. Without the tranquility of the soul, any amount of wealth cannot be of any use. Surrendering the fruits of action with a dispassionate mind is eligible to be termed sacrifice. Sathya Sai Baba. I end this video here. Thank you for watching this video. Next video will start with discourse number 9, and the heading will be from Annam to Ananda. Thank you. Namaskar.